Hi, Zizaran here with another video for the upcoming Scourge League, and this is going to be a refined TLDR of all the patch notes. And even though the manifestos are very long, I'm going to try to cover the most important things from the 3 manifestos. But other than that, we're going to focus on things that were new in the patch notes. And I do have TLDR videos for each of the manifestos as well, so make sure you go check those out because there is a lot of knowledge there. So this video is going to focus on the new skills, changes to existing skills, ascendancy changes. We'll talk a little bit about items and the atlas changes a little bit more as well, but I want to try to keep it as short as possible. And for those that don't know, the league starts the 22nd October, 8 p.m. UK time. So starting off with new skills, there are some really spicy looking ones and they look really cool visually. Energy Blade, absolutely amazing. Reminds a lot of people of Spectral Throw, honestly, except that it's Luke Skywalker with Spectral Throw, and you literally have lightsabers. These create your weapons or turn your weapons into lightsabers, and it's based on your energy shield. So really good for Inquisitors, for example, and hybrid builds, but it does reduce your energy shield. So you mostly want to have it as a buffer and not like an actual raw HP thing. And use it more for regen. So again, Inquisitor really shines here, and it works on any non-bow weapon. And Energy Blade completely replaces your weapon, so far, unless I missed something, it doesn't seem like it matters if you have a white random weapon or, you know, an actual really good one. Temporal Rift, if you're a Dota player, this is basically Weaver from Dota 2 and the ulti there, where it does rewinding time. So you reserve the skill Temporal Rift. This cannot be triggered because it is a reservation. I think it was 4 seconds. I think probably has different timing based on the level, but it will, once you unreserve the skill, it will trigger you back and replenish your life and mana. It won't change the world state, so you can't. Somebody was suggesting that, oh, what if we can kill a boss over and over again? It does not revert the world state, it just reverts your character state. It's literally the same as Dota 2 Weaver, so it just reverts the life and mana you had, and presumably cooldowns and other things. So, for example, using this in combination with Forbidden Right could be interesting for some builds. This is also going to be a very easy skill to absolutely fuck up and get yourself killed with. Plastering skills, Explosive Concoction gets a big buff. Hopefully it's enough to make it really shine, and there's a new Poison Concoction as well. And there is a whole new archetype of skills, Link skills. These allow players to support allies in new ways that we've never seen before, and it's very interesting. If I link to a player and that player dies, so do I. So I really want to make some events on hardcore with this. Now, you can't go to a hideout, link to somebody, and kill yourself and kill that person, because it's only the person initiating the link that dies. It's not a two-way link. It's basically a one-way link. Now, you could link both ways. Then no matter who dies, you're dying. So it's a very, very cool playstyle. Hopefully see a lot of that. I would personally love to make a duo build guide, but I don't know. It's very hard to do and don't have enough time, but would love to. And last but not least, Tornado, a long-awaited skill. Obviously, other games have similar skills to this, and a lot of people have always wanted it. And yes, you can set it on fire. So it looks amazing, looks really cool. You are limited to 1 tornado. Maybe there's a helmet enchant that you can have 2 tornadoes. I don't know if that's posted yet, but it looks very cool. Hopefully it'll be strong. So for skill and gem changes, there are some really interesting things. We do have some things that I've discussed in previous manifestos here, but Awakened gems, seeing a lot of love, and a lot of the power has been shifted, particularly to level 5. Generally, everything has gotten at least a 5% damage increase. Unleash getting the biggest damage increase, which is what basically works out to like 20% more damage. It gets 1 extra Unleash, which is huge. Depends how many Unleashes you already had before, but oh my god, really cool. So level 5 Unleash is going to be worth a lot, and I really love the level 5 change. The putting all the power behind level 5, really incentivizing that you level them up to level 5, and they're already better at level 1. Shield skills. Spectral Shield Throw. The Raider version most likely survived. The Bleed version, not so much. I can see the Raider version still being strong and something people want to play because it's a pretty fun playstyle. And the Bleed version, probably going to be an okay league starter and really good for map clearing. Still really going to be good even at tier 16 maps and clearing very fast, right? But it did get a 30 to 35% less damage nerf, and this was a build that already struggled on damage. Shield Crush got a slight buff at the end game, and we're definitely going to see that use still. So Gladiator Bleed should still be able to do that. Early game, a little bit rougher because it scales less from the gem. You definitely do want a good shield. Forbidden Right totems, completely mangled how totems behave with this skill, basically, and just how totems take damage in general. A lot of totems should feel a lot better now. They get an 80% damage reduction, but any totem that hits itself will do 400% damage and basically take full damage from itself. You can get way less chaos resist from the ancestral cluster thing that we were using to get chaos resist. Honestly, that's not even something I'm gonna look at as a league starter. For me, I would love if somebody later finds that, oh, it still works, it's still okay. That would be great. I'm writing it off for myself. It's not something I'm gonna put energy into. Very, very big nerf for the Forbidden Right totem. I just feel like so many other things are gonna be better league starters. It might still work. I'm not gonna put time in it. Now, all the changes does open up with the new Torch Oak step. Now 100% of the damage reflected, and there have been reflect totem builds in the past that were already very strong, only with a 25% damage reflect. This is now a 4-time damage boost. It might end up being really, really good now with taunt totems. And then other skills released in 3.15 all got buffed. Reaper did not so much. Did Reaper need a buff? So Reaper, especially on softcore, was inferior to Spectres, but Spectres are seeing, well, they're kind of getting fucked up. There wasn't really any love to Spectres, and they've lost so much, including Spectre banks. Very, very rough. I'm not really a minion main, so look to people like Kay and Gazi, etc. for seeing how they're going to feel about minions after this. I'm mostly into, animate weapon and summon rating spirits. Very rough on summon rating spirits. It still looks doable, but the problem is that already in the last patch, it was so hard to get a helmet. So I would say if you get a really good summon rating spirit helmet, yes, absolutely, it'll still do several million damage, but you do lose like 40% damage. So it is a pretty big hit. Again, if you accidentally roll a helmet, by all means. But outside of that, I don't know if I would aim for it. The gear would probably be pretty cheap though, so it should be a pretty cheap, solid build still, because I don't think that many people are going to go for it. Now, for going back to Reaper, incredibly strong, and we've seen people killing the Feared in less than 3 seconds on Reaper. It's very, very similar to old Herald of Agni builds. It's more popular on Hardcore because you can't do Necromantic Aegis on Hardcore because you get so much defense from a shield. So I think Reaper is probably in a pretty good spot, especially for Hardcore, and maybe with the Spectre nerf, we'll see more of a usage on softcore. Voltaic Burst got a massive buff basically for each burst that hasn't gone off yet. It's 1% more damage. Mathil with an Aura Ball had 200 ready to go off. That would be 200% more damage for each one. And then Solo, he had like 100. So it should be able to, if you especially build for it, be able to get a crazy amount of burst. This skill is called Voltaic Burst. It's funny. To do bosses very quickly. Absolution is also getting a buff, and so is Ambush. Cast on Crit and other trigger gems have had their mana cost equalized a little bit. The attack part is now going to cost less mana, but the spells are going to cost more mana. It might be a little bit clunky and annoying, but shouldn't be an insurmountable change. And Syndicate Operatives got a big nerf, and that's basically the last really big conversion Spectre. So it'll be interesting. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to see what the Spectre community is going to crack out. Ascendancies. Gladiator did not get the Ascendancy change that we were expecting from the manifesto. They were going to get a lucky block, putting it at 96 or 93% block. It is not getting that. They're getting 85% max block instead. So for Trickster, Escape Artist is not getting removed. I was a little bit worried about that. So that means that Ghost Route is kind of only usable on Trickster. So basically Trickster just, well, it does lose quite a bit. And honestly, I would love to see some buffs for Trickster still to especially make it more of a popular pick on softcore. But on hardcore, really, really big because obviously, well, we have a keystone that's mandatory for some reason for our build on the skill tree. You basically need to take that for that last ascendancy to really do much and work. So that's an interesting choice. The new notable, which is half the time you don't take damage for dots. 5 seconds off, 5 seconds on. Very strange node. I hate things like that. I've never liked things like that when Elementalists had it, etc. And I do hope that gets reworked very quickly, hopefully next patch. But still, very, very strong pick, especially for spell slingers, dot builds like Chaos Slinger, things. Like, I think we'll see a lot of Trickster on hardcore, and it'll be a pretty decent league starter on softcore. But again, I know it's not a huge popular pick because it's a very defensive Ascendancy. Chieftain saw some slight changes, especially Avatar of Fire being moved right next to Marauder. Other than that, it gets a buff for Transcendence with 5% additional physical damage taken as Fire, but it gets a 30%, I believe, or 50% life recovery nerf. So really, really bad for regen builds, like for example, Righteous Fire, which has already seen a lot of damage. Inquisitor gets a big buff to the Consecrated Ground node. This is especially huge with Bottle Faith. It's now 50% increased effect. That means that you get 75% curse immunity just from Consecrated Ground. Obviously, this is permanently on, and Bottle Faith will do an insane amount of damage. You don't even care about the crit part, just the monsters take increased damage is huge. So you really, really get that. Inquisitor is going to be a pretty good Ascendancy because no longer it is troubled by the fact that it lost its ailment immunity, because ailment immunity is so easy on every class this patch. It's basically ailments are gone. Now for items, and this is honestly, I'm happy to say, my favorite part, we have way more chase items now. Especially love the changes they did for Aziri. I don't. I hate what they did to Aziri. I was so excited when I saw the Aziri section. You can see the enjoyment in my face, and it just fades away. They, instead of buffing Disfavor, one of the core, really exciting items in the game, they just put it to normal Aziri. So instead of a 2C unique, it's a 1C unique now and more common, and just no longer that exciting, iconic item of Path of Exile. It would be the same feeling as if they said Starforge is now part of the core drop pool and it's 300 DPS. And let's talk about the more of the positive items. Breach uniques, all of them pretty much are buffed significantly, except the really, really insane ones like Hawa, the Hand of Wisdom in action. But my favorite item in the entire game, or it was until it got nerfed, Choir of the Storm is buffed. I've been bitching about this in videos for 3 or 4 years, in every podcast, whenever they've asked, I've been like, this is my favorite item. This is my favorite item. Choir of the Storm, when it was initially released, basically overcapped lightning rest, or sorry, any lightning rest would give you crit 1-to-1. So if you had 400 lightning rest, you got 400 crit. If you managed to get 700 lightning rest, you got 700 crit. Now, obviously, this was a little bit too strong, so they nerfed it. That if you had 75 lightning rest, you got 75 lightning rest, and not more unless you had max. So they basically removed it from the game until now, where now it is overcapped lightning rest and has a lightning rest penalty on it. This means that if you have a 175 lightning rest, and there is a minus 30 lightning rest on it too, so then you would have 200 basically. But then you will get 100 crit. So this is really, really good for characters where you have a lot of extra spots for resists, especially if you're running Purity of Lightning for whatever reason. Maybe you're doing high max rest, but you could easily get 400, 500, 600% crit with a large amount of investment with this amulet. And that's really cool because some builds don't have a lot of access to global crit. Very excited about this. As you can tell, this is one of my favorite items and just completely reworks how you see lightning resist on a character and how you treat crit. Unveiling gets a huge buff. You no longer have to unveil multiple times. You unlock every single craft the first time you unveil something. Definitely really, really good. No longer are you going to have to unveil 2 or 3 times to get crafts. And a lot of the rare unveils are more common. Forbidden Shaco is removed from the game, and the effects of the replica are now the baseline. So the normal one from Ushabi, a boss that you will never find because it is so incredibly rare. Other than that, they've added loads of new chase items. There is a new Ul the Tool amulet that is really fucking cool. It basically lets you socket a gem into it, and that will affect your main 6-link chest. Enhance, Empower, and Enlighten does not work, but the others do. Very, very cool stuff. Definitely a chase unique. There is also the Mage Blood Heavy Belt, which is now probably going to be the most chase item in the game. It does the leftmost 4 magic utility flasks constantly apply their flask effects to you, and they're just always on. So very, very cool. Very, very insane. Obviously, it does not work with unique flasks, but this is a very, very strong belt. It is a rough idea on what you can get from the belt. Badger did some math on this. You can get 310% crit, 80% increased damage, and then either 34% attack speed or cast speed, 108 movement speed, and you can get 3000 base armor plus 120% increased armor. And that is with obviously some alchemist and increased effect and stuff like that. Very, very cool stuff, honestly, from this belt. And we have another chase item, Stasis Prison, which is that the new Weaver Temporal Rift skill has no reservation and 100% of damage taken recouped as life. That means that if you take a big hit like 3000, you regen that 3000 over the next 4 seconds. And also, debuffs on you expire 100% faster. And all the items this patch are very chase, very excited for all the items. They've done a great work with that. So for the Atlas, there's a lot of big changes, and yes, I will be making passives videos and a lot of new like map videos to help new players with that. Mechanics are now only present in one region, like you won't have to choose between harvest in multiple regions or delve in multiple regions. They are all in one region. But this is slightly a nerf to us too, because this means that you have like very hard choices to make. And on making orbs will be a lot more useful because you'll probably have some early game choices, like for example, the exotic goods invasion thing are really good for pounding out multiple 6 things early game. And then you kind of want to spec out of that when you have too many 6 things. For reference, I think I had 16 or 14 6 things out of that in a few days in the gauntlet. So if you are playing a lot with that on and just focusing that down, yeah, it'll add up very quickly. Not all of those will be armors, obviously, but a really nice source of divines. And a lot of the points were moved or changed or like combined. Some notable ones that we're going to be missing: emblematic, the Legion one, where you would get full League stones, are or like the Legion stones are gone now. Blight looks like a really good investment. Essence, obviously very valuable, especially with Essence on the map device. Your watchstones are going to be a lot better now because they're going to be affecting such a large portion of the Atlas. You're not going to need like a shit ton of different ones per region, right? You're just going to have a lot less to focus on. So really good, big quality of life for a lot of people here. I'll be making a full video covering all the Atlas passives. There was a huge thing in the hideout patch note that probably a lot of people are going to skip over. You no longer lose portals when your hideout crashes. They're like saved in a different state now. So you've probably noticed before that the game would crash or your client would crash, and you come back and either your portals aren't there anymore or they aren't working. They say instance is no longer active. Yeah, that's gone now. Which is a really big change for people that have been playing for a while, because how many maps have you lost to disconnect? Probably a large amount. So very good there. The mastery level and favor systems are gone as well. So buy whatever decorations you want. As a quick extra and a TLDR on things we did mention in the manifestos, ailments are kind of gone from the game. It's going to be so easy to get ailment immunity now. There are way more sources on gear, skill tree, etc. And a lot of good changes to like Tempest Shield got a big buff. It's now a reservation, not a just free thing you throw on, but it gives you a large amount of spell block now. Fortify has been changed massively. It's very hard to get this as a caster now, unless you want to go cast champion, sorry. Champion casters will probably see some of that. And Vigilant Strike is kind of, well, I would say Vigilant Strike is kind of gone. I'd be surprised if we see people using that. Dodge is gone, very important to mention. And we have spell suppression now. And all of these are like in-depth covered. It's a lot to cover, but I wanted to mention the most important things there. So some interesting changes, good flask buffs, and no movement changes, and no Act 2 buff. They were going to make Act 2 a lot harder, but they said, and I quote, they got a homework from the community and had to focus on that instead. So they have not like made Act 2 stronger. Now, quite a lot of people are saying they do like the new Act 1 and that it feels more engaging. Hopefully we'll have a similar effect with Act 2, but obviously there's going to be some that love it and some that hate it. For a lot of people, the campaign is just a chore that you have to get through to start playing the game. My name is Zizaran. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to try to pump out as much content as humanly possible until Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video. Good luck in Scourge. We'll have a lot of League starters coming soon, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.